Basically, the Lucretius that's written at the top of this sheet is only meant to indicate to you that this should have been a Lucretius lecture, simply a lecture on Lucretius and Epicureanism, but we still have not found someone who's ready to do the job of a full Lucretius lecture. And so they search around and find somebody who, looks like he could still speak. And so here I am to give you a lecture on both on Rome, really, and include Lucretius and Stoicism, because the last two books of 201, Lucretius, Epicureanism, and then Virgil. In Virgil is the great epic poem of Rome. This is the Roman Homer, right? And but the main line of the story in Virgil is a Stoic understanding of how human life ought to be and what it's all about. And so this lecture, the worksheet is by Professor Samira Khoury. I'm going to use it to introduce you to the whole Roman experience coming out of the Greek and to these two basic philosophies of life which became very important in the Roman Empire. Both of them are Greek. Both of them came from the Greek polis, Athenian basically, but Athens sort of drew together all the great thinking that was going on in Greece at the time. And so we're moving from the Athenian experience and the polis, the focus on the polis, on the human community, how important that was. Hopefully you've seen that in the Greek material, from Sophocles to Thucydides to Plato to Aristotle. All of them focused on the polis, the importance of human community for a human being as an individual to possibly achieve what a human being ought to be trying to achieve. You cannot do it if you're not in a good community. In other words, the community you're in conditions how far you can move as an individual human. And of course, it's a dialectical relationship. The better the individual is, the better the polis will be. The better the polis is, the better the individual can be. And this was the message primarily of the Athenian Greek contribution through those two great philosophies of the tragic philosophy of life and a rationalistic philosophy of life. Now we're moving away from the polis world. Just to remind you a little bit, just a few pictures here, hoping a few more people might come in. Okay, the golden age of Pericles is what we were focusing on, and much of what we're doing in Greek, about Greece in 201, after Homer. The age of Pericles, where you had philosophy through Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, where you had Thucydides for history, and where you had Sophocles for tragedy, all of them contemporaries, and giving us food for thought that we still make use of, influencing us unconsciously. And that's one of the good things about studying these things, so that you know how come you believe what you believe today about life and about everything. Well, don't think that you have come down from heaven, unless you have come down from heaven. You are the product of this historical interaction of many, many cultures and many, many ways of understanding human beings. And there's somehow seeds from each of these are fermenting in your genes. And it's the better you know the source, the better you can understand the fruit that's coming in you today, and able to be more critical, as the slogan goes. So you've been through Sophocles and tragedy, you've been through the Peloponnesian War and Thucydides, the legal assassination of Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, and now we have Rome. Okay, so on your sheet, on the fly sheet, those coming in now, still just to tell you what we're doing. We're moving from the Athenian polis focus for our humanity to the Roman Empire, Rome and the Roman Empire. And now we have, instead of the polis, we have the cosmopolis. I am a citizen of Rome, but I am a citizen of the cosmos, the cosmopolis, because Rome was one of the first, if not the first, really one that we can study, the first global experiment. They thought of themselves, the way you think about yourself affects the way you present life generally. They thought of themselves as the world. Rome was the world. The Roman Empire was everything. Outside of the Roman Empire, there was nothing important, nothing significant. So the Roman Empire was the globe, the global village, and people were Roman citizens. Even if they lived in Lebanon or they lived wherever they lived, they could be a Roman citizen. And a citizen of Rome was accountable only, finally, to the emperor and only under the universal law of the Roman Empire. So this was a totally different sociological situation, political situation, intellectual situation, human situation than living in a polis. Living in a polis is rather, Aristotle has said it can't be less than 10,000, it shouldn't be more than 100,000 if you have a proper community where you can really live as a human being and fulfill all the capacities you might possibly have instead of becoming, robots and specialized robots as we're all being forced to do today. But being able to really, have a very interesting and exciting and rich kind of life. From the polis now to the cosmopolis, think about this for yourself as a human situation. You're living in a nice small country, a small community, a small village, something like that, and suddenly you're thrown into Hong Kong or New York City or Paris or something like that. What would happen to you as a human being? Well, this is very important to understand, so you understand what life is all about, what thought is all about, what people who start to tell you about the meaning of life. It comes out of their existential situation. The situation they're in will affect the way they understand human life. And so now in Rome, you had two not so great in Athens, you had two Greek philosophies, Epicureanism and Stoicism. In the polis situation, they never really flew. They never took. Now in Rome, in the Roman Empire situation, they become much more popular than they ever were in Athens. Why? Well, very simple, because primarily now, the citizen of Rome is flooded with many, many options. No longer is it just, between the sophists and Socrates, or, it was kind of a rather narrow limitation of how you could understand life. Now, the whole panoply is open up, similar like today. Today in the global village, and now with the media, you're flooded with all kinds of options about how to understand yourself and how to understand human life. Well, Epicureanism and Stoicism tended to be this sort of practical philosophy that appealed to people in such a situation where basically they wanted some answers. They didn't want the search, because Socrates, Plato, Aristotle represent at their best the ongoing, never-ending search for truth, the ongoing, never-ending scientific and philosophical and human journey of life, trying to set basic principles that you can follow and that can help you to move on. But basically, they were anything but the dogmatists of today. The dogmatists of today have benefited from all of the people in the past, not bothered to give credit to where they're coming from, and playing God. Their view today is the best view. Do they know much about the past? Some might. All right? So beware of dogmatism when it's based on, not on something solid. The Epicureans and the Stoics were dogmatists. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle were not. Now people think of them as dogmatists because they're not really understanding the nuance, the difference. The search for truth was kindled by Socrates in the polis, and then Plato, and then Aristotle. The sophists, whom I hope you've been speaking about, were the main rival, the ones who said there is no truth to search for. The only truth is the truth that will give me power. And so that's relative to the time. Let me see which truth today will help me to become a famous professor and write books and have and then pontificate about life because I happen to be a specialist in one item. What would allow me to do that? Well, the sophists taught you how to do that, how to make the weaker argument defeat the stronger argument. The only thing is power. All right, so this was the fight between Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and the sophists. That was what was going on, basically, intellectually, in Athens. Now, in the Roman world, you had so many more options that were being thrown at you that people now wanted something dogmatic. And the dogmatic sophists were not very popular. They've always been popular, but now there are people who wanted something other than the sophists, who are just telling you, very frankly, we're only interested in power. You know, what you see is what you get. That's who we are. We're not pretending to be anything else. The Epicureans and the Stoics both came out of the Athenian experience. And so in one way or another, they were following Socrates. Everybody claimed Socrates, by the way, as their initiator. And so they claimed to be giving you the truth, not just power. So Epicureanism through Lucretius, and Stoicism, insofar as you get it through Virgil, the end of 201, both of them tell you, follow us, we have the truth, with capital letters. Follow us, we have the truth. And what philosophy should do is give you peace of mind. We want peace of mind, pax, we want peace of mind. Because we're in this Roman Empire, we're in Beirut, we're in Hong Kong, we're in New York, we're in the global village. And we want somebody to tell us what's the truth. So these two people claim to be giving you the truth. They weren't coming and telling you, we will tell you how to get power. Because, you know, a human will not always respond to that unless they're the ones who have the power. But, you know, so they're coming and telling you we have the truth. So I want to just give you a bit of an introduction to both of these philosophies, just a little bit before I then use the fly sheet for you. So pay attention. Lucretius and Epicureanism, perhaps the simplest philosophy ever presented. Basically, how can we have peace of mind? Well, what is our goal in life? Our goal in life is to have the minimum pain in our body and the minimum pain in our mind, anxiety in our mind. So therefore, a good mind, a good rationalist, someone using their reason, will seek to see how can I live my life in such a way, using reason, to minimize the pain in my body and minimize the anxiety in my mind, okay? Pay attention now so that you can have the recipe, because I'm sure everybody wants this, all right? The recipe for this, if you're ready to just follow and believe, because this is a faith system. If you believe Epicurus, all you need to do, Epicurus was the Greek, Lucretius is the Roman, who makes Epicurus the Greek popular in Rome, not in Greece. How can you have pain? How can you minimize pain in your body? Well, you know, be careful. Eat the proper foods, do the right exercise, you know, avoid getting diseases of any sort. Okay, and so you know, on the physical level and on the food level and on all this level, you know, today we would say have safe sex. All right, don't have no sex, but don't just have sex. Have safe sex. All right. Now that's for the body and diseases, and you know, stay away from diseases, and keep your body in good shape. What about the mind? Well, the mind. You know, what's the source of anxiety in the mind, according to Lucretius? Well, the main culprit for him is religion. And remember when you say the word religion, and please remember that today, because this is a huge ocean stream, a huge spectrum of what is religion. So don't think religion is this one little animal that you can conveniently discuss. All right. The religion of the day was polytheism, superstitions, fear of, you know, will somebody make me kill my daddy and marry my mommy, the Sophocles thing. This was what religion meant when Ammo Lucretius speaks about religion. Okay, he's not talking about all the possible religions and ways of understanding religion within each religion. You know, the whole, a scholar would look at the whole, you know, would not take one thing and let it represent. So he's taking sort of the worst aspects of the polytheistic things, the fear of death, the fear of Hades. You know, everybody goes to Hades. Remember Ammo Achilles in the Odyssey? All right? If Achilles, the greatest hero, winds up in Hades, what should the rest of us expect? Socrates had tried to solve this problem by telling us the rationalist will not believe in Hades as it is being presented to us. The rationalist will take a look and say, death? Well, let me think about it rationally. Death could be one of three options. You disappear. You stop existing. Why should I fear it? On the other hand, if I'm living a good life as far as I can follow reason and follow morality as well as I can and help the polis and do all that, then why should my mind not tell me that if there is something after death, it should be good? Why should I believe it's going to be bad? At the same time, if I'm living a bad life and I'm not taking care of others, not taking care of the polis, and I'm a power-hungry beast, all right, then why should I expect anything good at the end? Then, of course, it would be logical that if there is something after death, it will be a Hades, the messy Hades of Homer. So this was this was Socrates, rationalism, but following truth, following morality. That can be shared by people, not just my morality, which will give me more power than your morality or something like that, but the ongoing search for a common morality, something everybody can accept and look at and think and do that. With Epicureanism, the only thing you need to worry about is avoid the fear of death. That's the primary thing. And for him, he tells you, well, the truth is, one of these three options of Socrates, the truth is that we will disappear at death. Right? We have come together out of atoms that have simply bumped into each other, and here we are. At death, these atoms will just redistribute, refragment into the cosmos. So why should I fear death? And therefore, there's nothing after death. And therefore, I don't need to fear any kind of accountability or judgment or consequence of my life. Death is simply disappearing, so stop worrying about it. Okay, the more I can do that, the less anxiety I'll have in my mind. And certainly, if I believe in the gods of Homer, then I'm going to have lots of room for worrying about, maybe I'm going to be like Oedipus or something like that. Okay, the gods, remember, Zeus gives more evil than good. All right? Don't forget that. So don't think religion means one thing or the divine means one thing. Think specific. When you're studying something, study it specifically in a specific context on its own terms. So he wants to rid you of all of your polytheistic religious beliefs, so you won't be fearing. And the gods exist, he says, the gods, but they are very good Epicureans. They care only for their own comfort and pleasure. And therefore, they don't want any anxiety in their minds, so they don't care about humans. Right? The gods are our models. What are the gods for Lucretius? The gods are simply powerful beings that simply live to minimize pain, maximize pleasure, minimize anxiety, maximize peace of mind. They are our models. And therefore, you see, by deduction, a good Epicurean imitating the gods will live like that. We won't care for the polis or other humans or any of these sort of ideals of the Socrates, Plato, Aristotle thing. We will be, taking care of ourselves. We will do it as rationally as possible. We'll take care as much as we can of others, but we have no responsibility either to the gods or to fellow humans or to humanity, the polis, or society. Get rid of any thought that you are responsible for something, you see, and you'll relax. Get rid of any thought that there's a God that you have to be accountable to, you'll relax. No one's going to hold you to account, etc. Now, use your mind, use your reason now, in the most sensible way. Live a life. Withdraw. It's a withdrawal philosophy of life. Have few friends. Choose them carefully. Choose your friends, people who won't give you a headache. People who are like you. All right? In terms of sex, don't fall in love, because if you fall in love, that's a great source of anxiety and gharama and intiqam and all the sort of things that happen. Don't fall in love. But sex is okay, but sex, you do it rationally. Don't have any sex the consequence is going to be that somebody's brother or husband or father is going to come and shoot you the next day, or you're going to get a disease. Be intelligent about how you have your sex. You see. So this is the recipe. It's a simple recipe, but you have to believe. See, you have to have faith. Believe, you see, and then you will be free. That's really if people who want to simply take the atheistic aspects of Lucretius, that's nice, but the human aspect of Lucretius is very much a withdrawal one. What about Stoicism? Stoicism gives you, again, a recipe. Follow us and you will have peace of mind. What's their recipe? The exact opposite. They will tell you that if you live the way the Epicureans tell, you'll never have peace of mind. You have to follow reason and morality and duty and political duty. Stoic. You have to be tough. Not this Epicurean who just wants comfort and no. You have to seek to really do your best for humanity, to do your best for the polis. You should be ready, like Socrates, to be executed if necessary. And you should give your whole being to following reason. But reason for him is cosmic reason, natural law. There's a natural law that reason can access, which will unite humans through reason. But again, it's the truth. The truth is, for Stoicism, both of them are materialistic, by the way. There's nothing but material. For the Stoic, reason is in your chest. So they locate it, physically someplace. They're materialistic. The Stoics believed that life was a cycle, would continue. There were cycles, and then that first great cycle would end, and then another cycle would end. And so basically all the Greeks believed that history was not going anywhere. No linear history, we're not moving somewhere, no progress. Basically history is repeating itself. All right, so for the Stoic, history repeats itself. And what is therefore the human challenge? Wherever you are, at whatever time you are, you should be following your duty, not seeking comfort and ease and pleasure, because you'll never get peace of mind doing that. The only way to get peace of mind is for you yourself to be responsible to yourself, to be satisfied with your own reason that you are following truth. But now what is the truth? Is it something you need to be seeking and dialoguing for and endlessly looking for? No, we have the truth. The Stoic and the Epicurean come and tell you, we have the truth. Lucretius will tell you, Epicurus is the prophet. He brought us back the truth. All right? And the Stoics will tell you, this is the truth. So this is the atmosphere. Rome, the global village, empire, no longer just a polis, much more challenging situation. And so Epicureanism and Stoicism are two options, if you notice at the top of the page. The Lucretius up there is just to tell you that the lecture today would have been a Lucretius lecture and is meant to be. Instead, it's going to be a lecture on preparing you for both Lucretius and Virgil, the two things at the end, by helping introduce you to something you need to be aware of, because these are two philosophies that are still alive in the world, Epicureanism and Stoicism. Epicureanism follows hedonism. Anybody know what hedonism is? What's hedonism? Should you worry about tomorrow morning? Because the Epicurean says, be careful of how you have sex or how much you drink that night, because the next day you may have, you may get up with a big headache if you drink too much, or somebody might come and shoot you. All right. Hedonism is the philosophy of hedonism. It's a simple philosophy. There's no absolute in any sort. Just have the maximum pleasure. Okay. The Epicureans, of course, came. That type of thinking would say, but that's not right. That's not reasonable. If I just have pleasure all the time, I'm not. Somebody's going to kill me along the way, and soon. Epicureanism is a survival hedonism. Use your mind to help you to do things in a rational way. So that's Epicureanism then, and Stoicism are two options for a way of life to happiness. Stoicism follows more the Socrates, Plato, Aristotle view. That there is rational truth, there's truth that can be shared with others, there is truth that that will really make a difference, and it's not just all the same and all relative and just relative to the individual, as with Sophism and now with Epicureanism. So two options for a way of life to happiness. So both of them offer you happiness, but happiness through pleasure, maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain. So happiness is pleasure. For the Epicurean. Over there, happiness is more like what Aristotle, if you've done Aristotle yet, happiness is following and fulfilling your true potential, your true reason, not just your power and your feelings. Okay, so when we go from Greece to Rome, so that first passage on your fly sheet, the historical framework, you can read it for yourself and get the details there. The main thing there, the interesting thing, is under number 4, the rise of Rome. Rome conquered the Greek Empire and inherited the Greek Empire, and Romanized the West, inherited the Hellenized East. Hellenization of Rome, this slogan there, Greece defeated but victorious. So in other words, Greece was defeated militarily by Rome, but it was Greece that defeated Rome intellectually, culturally, because the Roman Empire, the culture of the Roman Empire, the philosophy of the Roman Empire, all the basic, human things there and cultural were Greek. Okay? The Greek gods, Zeus became Jupiter, Zeus Pater, when they prayed to Zeus Father. Zeus Pater, Pater is father in Latin. Zeus Pater, Jupiter. So Zeus becomes Jupiter, all right? Hera becomes Juno. So when you come to the Aeneid, the two main gods in the Aeneid are Jupiter and Juno. And now they symbolically represent what the Stoic understands by them. Jupiter now is not Zeus. Jupiter now is world reason. World reason is at the heart of everything for the Stoic. And Juno is the main opposite, passion. So Juno and Jupiter, and when you come to Virgil's Aeneid, the two gods now have philosophical definition. No longer just the Homeric definition, more closer now to what Socrates and Plato and Aristotle were doing in rationalizing the meaning of the gods. But this is the Rome is conquered by Greece. The main thing the Romans developed, beyond the main thing, they developed everything in some ways, but the main thing they developed that really influences us today is law, Roman law, okay? The rule of law. Roman law ruled the whole empire. And so somebody could appeal to the emperor. So when you come, if you ever take 202 and you come into what 202 discusses, the Hebrew and the Christian and the Islamic, when you get to the Christian, because the Christianity began in the Roman Empire. Paul, one of the main leaders of the Christian movement, was a Roman citizen. Saul was his Hebrew name, Shaul, and Paul was his Roman name. Okay, Shaul didn't become Paul, as some people think. He had two names because one of them was his Roman name, and he was a Roman citizen. When the Hebrews tried to kill him, they couldn't kill him, so they had to send him to the Romans to kill him, the way they did with Jesus. But when they sent Paul to the Roman authorities, he appeals to the emperor. And so they cannot do anything with him. They have to take him peacefully to Rome to have a session with the emperor. So the notion of law, the rule of law all over the world, of course, with the global view of law, is the main contribution of Rome. The greatest literature of Rome is, of course, the epic, Aeneid, Virgil's Aeneid. There's a lot of wonderful literature from in the Greek and the Roman, but the main ones you're looking at in CVSP are the ones that give you also the way they understood life. So in the Aeneid, you have a Roman way of understanding life that brings together both the traditional Roman way of life, which was tough, with the Stoicism, the Greek philosophy that tells you should live life tough, not be afraid of suffering, wanting to help humanity, living for the cosmos and the polis and all this. So these two philosophies, the natural philosophy of the Republican Rome, before it became an empire, was a very Stoic, Spartan kind of philosophy of life anyway. So when Rome conquers Greece, one of the philosophies of Greece, the Stoic philosophy, naturally mates with the Republican virtues, and you get, Virgil's Aeneid. He brings in many elements. It's not just one thing, but the main thing in there, the Aeneas, his great hero, is the typical Stoic hero. Right? Lives the Stoic life, and he is the hero. He falls in love with Dido, Elisar, the Phoenician the empire of the Phoenicians could have been the great empire of the world had not the Romans conquered them. You will see in Virgil, when you read Virgil, when you're told about that epic, you'll see how Aeneas, the Stoic, falls in love with Dido, and she offers him to rule the Carthaginian Phoenician Empire with her. He, however, the gods have set him to found Rome. You see, Rome is not yet important suppose that this is sort of a historical revisiting. And basically, he chooses to go on to Rome. Both of them are deeply in love with each other. They both suffer deeply. But Dido is completely destroyed because she doesn't have any Stoic readiness. Because Aeneas has the Stoic thing, he gets all the pain of it, but it doesn't destroy him. He goes on with reason, goes on and founds Rome. And that's the story of the Roman epic, how Rome was founded but basically through a Stoic approach, not an Epicurean approach. So these two philosophies were very popular in Rome, not in Athenian Greece, and for these basic reasons. But now the relationship between Greece and Rome is what I was trying to tell you in the first part of this. That's the main thing there. For Epicureanism proper, Epicurus, you've got some details there. Epicurus is the Greek, 300 years before in Athens, 300 before let's get you to this. This is the garden, because Epicurus founded the garden in Athens. Plato founded the Athenaeum, from which you get the Athenaeum, is it the French, l'Athénée in French. You get the schools in Lebanon. Some of them are called Athénée, and some are called lycée. Right? The Athénée is from the Plato. The lycée comes from Aristotle's Lyceum. So here you have the garden. The Lucretius book is entitled On Nature, or On the Nature of Things, a poem in 6 books explaining Epicurus' philosophy and its basis, Democritus' atomism, presenting both as the true knowledge. Materialism and atomism and Epicureanism are the true knowledge. Now, what's the atomistic aspect of let's follow the sheet here. It's much easier. I'm obviously not going to be able to do all that, but it's very full, and so once you get the idea, you can go through it for yourself. Aim and purpose of Epicureanism: for the individual, a mind at ease. I'm following the fly sheet now, on the second page. The blessing of quiet peace, that pain may be removed from our body, and that our mind, free from gnawing fears and cares, may know some pleasure. And for the people of Rome, untroubled peace in this evil hour of my country's history. He was hoping that the more people would become Epicureans, that this would be the way to bring peace to, not just to himself, to the individual, but that somehow the more people would live as Epicureans, the more it would actually bring peace to the people of Rome. The method to achieve the aim is through make love, not war. Have you ever heard that phrase? Make love, not war. You're too young, all right? But that used to be very popular in the hippie days, and then even, way up to recent times. Make love, not war, all right? So make love, meaning Venus. Don't love others, meaning sacrifice yourself for them, die for them, la, la, la. Make love. Love has many meanings, all right? Love here is pleasure, right? So love, the deepest meaning of love all through, in every culture is what Socrates does, what Oedipus does, what the monotheistic prophets and Christ and all that do. That's love. But love here is simply pleasure. Satisfaction. Make love, not seek love, not Mars war. Okay. This terror, the darkness of the soul, must be dispelled. See, this darkness of the soul, this anxiety. Any of you experience any anxiety, or you're so happy all the time? Anybody feel a bit darkness in your life? This is what he's talking about. See, there's somebody who's, and the more you're in a global village, the more you're at AUB rather than a nice little, village school or something like that. The more you're, and the more the media gets in there and into the cells of your being. Okay, how do you get out of it? Be an Epicurean. The darkness of our soul, but by an understanding of the outer form and the inner law of nature. He's going to give you the understanding. Salama ismu, all right? He's going to give you the understanding of all of nature and all, we don't need any more scientists. We don't need any more of that. He's got the truth about the cosmos, about the world, about everybody. You need to see this aspect of various philosophies. What's behind them? This is Nietzsche. Nietzsche says every philosophy is the autobiography of a philosopher, which means if you don't know the context of the person giving it, you can be awed by what a wonderful thing this is, and how intelligent that person is. He's written so many books, they made a movie about him. No, you've got to realize that every philosophy is limited and represents one option among many others. So when somebody comes and tells you this is the penultimate philosophy of life that will explain everything in this universe, or when they want to make the Bible or the Quran a book of biology and astrophysics, then you've got this tendency of not understanding each thing, what each work, what each philosophy, what each book, what in each context, what its true worth is, and you lose so much. You get as Francis Bacon says, you get neither sound religion nor sound science. You get stupid religion and you get stupid science. You get dogmatic religion and dogmatic science. So, hopefully the message of true liberal education is by the time you leave this university for you to have seen much more about, what's behind these fantastic philosophies that tell you we know the theory of everything. So basically, you need to understand. So basically, of course, the more you understand, the happier you can be, because the more you're in ignorance, unless you think ignorance is bliss, you're going to be happier. Now, what is atomism and materialism? In reality, please pay attention and take notes, because this is the truth. All right? In reality, there are only atoms and the void. Have you written it down? Memorize it? Okay, don't let anybody fool you anymore, tell you to think about it. Okay, khalas, this is the truth. All right? Only atoms and the void. Those atoms from which nature creates all things and increases and feeds them, into which, when they perish, nature again resolves them. That's all it is. Atoms and the void. Atoms flowing freely through space, all right? And they come together, all right? And what they come together is what we see. A tree, a cockroach, a CVSP professor, a human, in other words, if you think I'm human. But basically, that's all we are, all right? Death is, we flow back in, and, we reconnect with other things, and then we become some other entity. This is a nice picture of life. That's all there is. You see, don't worry about anything more complicated or more challenging than that. The swerve, just enough to call it a change of direction. Now, this is the one thing he changes from Democritus, because in Democritus, everything is determinism. But now, you see, Lucretius, recognizing that determinism, this could let you believe that you are fated to kill maybe to kill your mommy and sleep with your daddy if you're, I don't know, you're fated, you see, determinism. So he wants to rid you of all such, for him, horrible truths that are affecting you. They're not true, they're false, they're superstitions, they're, determined, you are free, you have a free will, okay? So he changes the very, very deterministic philosophy of Democritus into the philosophy of Democritus, the materialistic one, atoms and the void, but he introduces the swerve. Sometimes they swerve, and this swerve is indeterminate, and the indeterminate swerve is the scientific explanation of why you and I have free will. All right? The swerve is, for him, meaning that something in us swerves, and that thing that swerves in us is precisely our free will. You cannot be happy if you don't think you have free will. So free will not because we've proven free will, or we've explained it, or we've demonstrated, or we've said what we mean by it. Here is very simply a part of the dogma. If you believe in determinism, you're going to suffer. And that's basically everything. Reason means wherever something's going to give you trouble, deny it. Right? That's really the basic thing for the human. Okay? It's a fascinating view of life, if you can believe in it. And the Stoic says, live like that and see you will never have peace of mind. But that's the Stoic, and the Stoics are stupid. This is truth now, okay? Please follow my truth. Religion, you see, as if you can talk about religion in sort of such a simplistic way. Superstition, true piety, yes. Superstition you can talk about. All serious religions, philosophies, all fight superstition. Monotheism came primarily to get rid of superstition. If you read the cultures of the time of Moses and what the Moses is telling you, forget these gods don't exist. Right? These gods that you're sacrificing your children to, and that you're worried about their curse, and you wear the evil eye, and so to keep away the all this is what he was trying to help you to get rid of. Okay, no evil eye is going to save you from something. That's a superstition. All right, but because what it does, it should, when you stop using this evil, the eye, the blue. Sorry, I don't mean to have this political, all right? Because one of the political parties now is saying we are the Ayn Zara, la Lebanon, Salama Ismun, if they really believe that. All right, Ayn Zara is from the heart of superstition. Because what is it? It's an expression of how you're afraid of something harming you. You see, that's heki. So what he and any serious religion, any serious ideology today would, and from time immemorial would say is you need to be rid of. Find out, get rid of it either through the Socrates philosophy or through Epicureanism if you still are superstitious, or if you think you're a monotheist, then realize that this is idolatry. You think there's some other god other than God. That's something that can really harm you. Superstition. Fables of the gods, all these stories about Sisyphus and about Prometheus. I hope you remember Prometheus from what you've done, in your courses. Prometheus is the heart of tragedy. He does good for humanity. What happens to him? He gets an eagle to peck away at his liver every day, and the next morning the liver is grown again, and an eagle comes and pecks away it forever. As the punishment of the gods. You say this is the superstitious fear. Fear of qada or qadar, that maybe you're going to go to hell, or predestination, God has predestined you to hell. Nothing to do with monotheism. This is all all part of the superstition that all rational philosophies and serious religions try to rid you of. So don't think he's something very special and unique. He's just telling you this is the way to get rid of it. Not through religions, not through ideologies, but through my ideology. This is the one thing that will help you. Okay, so the human being, therefore, sensation versus reason. It's not reason whom you really are. It's more your sensation, your feelings, your emotions. That's who you really are. Your reason is just something to help you make use of that in the best possible way to give you peace of mind. Pleasure, delight, this is the guide of life. Voluptas, pleasure, delight, the guide of life through the ways of Venus. Love, but free will is a result of the swerve. If the atoms would not swerve and originate new motions that will break the chains of fate, you see, anyone who believes in fate in this kind of a way, then you do need Epicurus to believe him, so you stop believing in fate in this kind of satanic way, this kind of evil way, fate. And that comes into everybody's superstitious world. He wants to rid you of anything like that. There's only the eternal infinite sequence of cause and effect. If that is the case, then whence comes the free will? This free will was snatched from the fates. Prometheus snatches fire from the fates and gives it to mankind. Oedipus he goes against fates, so he won't kill his daddy and marry his mommy. See, this is the religion that you need to be rid of, meaning if you really think like that about life, then you really do need some help from someplace. So the swerve for him is the so-called scientific way of proving that you have a free will. Mortality of the soul, we have nothing to fear in death, okay? Nothing after death. We just disappear, fragment into atoms, because all we are atoms in empty space. Society, politics, this, you see, will never let you. If you get involved in politics, you're never going to have peace of mind. Stay away from politics. Withdraw. If there's a war going on, go up to the mountains and watch people fight each other here in Lebanon during the war. You could go up to the mountains somewhere during the war in Lebanon and watch the rockets coming back and forth on various parts of Lebanon. Okay, this is pleasure. All right, watching people destroy each other, and you're far away in peace. Okay, this is actually their belief. Stay away from politics. Justice never is anything in itself, but in the dealings of men with one another. It's a kind of compact, not to harm or be harmed. Full stop. So if I'm not harming anybody, I can watch you kill each other and be happy that I'm not there. All right? I can be detached from, I can be a Tiresias, who doesn't want to get involved and have pain and save the polis. All right? Tiresias is a perfect Epicurean. As opposed to Oedipus, who's more in the Stoic thing, but he's not a Stoic. But he's more in that kind of direction of what they're telling you. Justice, friendship. This is the greatest thing, but he says elsewhere, limit your friends. Make sure they're people who you get along with. So the conclusion for Epicureanism is that pleasure is equal to happiness. Follow your nature, which is Venus, voluptas, pleasure, delight. That's your nature. Follow it. Use reason to protect yourself. But your nature is what you want. That's you. When you reach Amu Freud, we are id. We are our, that's pure Epicureanism. Freud is a perfect Epicurean. When you get to Freud in 204, if you can remember that, when you get there, notice that he's id. We are id, ego, and superego. We are id. That's basically who we are. Follow your nature. Pick the day. Make use in the best possible way of each day. Don't worry about tomorrow. All right? Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Each day, pick that day. Enjoy that day as much as you can, and live day by day in this way. Pick the day, carpe diem. Live hidden, you see. Well lived who lives hidden away. Stay away from politics. Stay away from, live your own secluded life. Stoicism is the alternative, and therefore, I've at least introduced you to one thing. It's now coming towards the end. Anybody who wishes to stay, I could go on talking about Stoicism. It's all there on these sheets. Stoicism, I've tried, that's why I introduced you to it before, because I knew I couldn't possibly do both in one lecture. But they're both very important, and when you do Virgil's Aeneid, you might want to remember this. And it's really worth your while to read through those things and see what you understand by them and see the difference between the two approaches to life. And at the very end, she has put for us some quotations on philosophy, the importance of philosophy from various philosophers in Greece. Very interesting there. So you get some quotes about what should philosophy be like. For Pythagoras, the slavish man goes hunting for fame and gain. The philosopher for the truth. Philosopher, Plato says, is the greatest gift the gods have ever given or will give to mortals, to inquire into the nature of the universe. That's for Plato. For Aristotle, they philosophized in order to escape from ignorance, the cave. They were pursuing science in order to know, not for any utilitarian end. Please pay attention to that. Truth is an end in itself. You don't need to say, why truth? What's it going to give me? How much money will it make? Will I be powerful? Will I be elected? Will I get a good grade? Why should I care about truth? See? Aristotle says true philosophy is not utilitarian, doesn't just go for and utilitarianism is the social development of Epicureanism, by the way. So he says it's the only free science, for it alone exists for its own sake. The other sciences, so we can go to the moon, so we can know more about medicine, so we can, but philosophy is that one way where you can just just breathe and relax and rest. You don't have to get anywhere. You don't have to produce something. It is in itself worthwhile, has intrinsic worth. When philosophy is the love of truth, not when philosophy becomes what it has become throughout the centuries, and more like what Epicurus says. Vain is the word of a philosopher, and this is very important, which does not heal any suffering of man. This is existential philosophy, by the way. The philosophy has to have its theoretical basis, but it should also affect your life. And if it doesn't affect your life, that's where you test a philosophy, whether it really gives you freedom and peace and creativity and authenticity and makes you a better human. Then you can say this philosophy is truth. Truth isn't just the doctrine. Truth is the doctrine being applied. This is existential philosophy, authenticity in philosophy. So what Epicurus is saying, but not from this existential point of view, because the existentialists believed in you should be seeking for the highest level of truth, the Nietzschean kind of truth, the authentic type of truth. Vain is the word of a philosopher, which does not heal any suffering of man. For just as there is no profit in medicine if it does not expel the diseases of the body, so there's no profit in philosophy either if it does not expel the suffering of the mind. The existentialists would agree 100% on this, but they would disagree with Epicurus that you shouldn't be living for the best, you shouldn't be living for the excellent, you shouldn't be living for the authentic, you should be your own self-critic, your own self-master, not a slave. You should be a master, not a slave. And this is so, these things, once you start putting them into your mind as you go through life, you will see how they continue to influence us in one way or another. The Epicurean view, the Aristotelian view, the Platonic view. And Marcus Aurelius the Stoic, the last one, that's the Stoic emperor. Where then can man find the power to guide and guard his steps? In one thing and one thing alone, philosophy. Each one, of course, means by philosophy what they understand by philosophy, so don't forget that. But philosophy ultimately means, the deepest aspect of your mind. What can you really find out about life in the deepest possible way? In this sense of philosophy, the love of hikmah, the love of wisdom, the love of the ultimate truth, all right? Not just truths along the way. Thank you for your attention, and I hope the fly sheet helps you.